€200 million. That is what the European Commission fined Temu for failing to protect consumers from illegal products flooding its marketplace. One risk assessment, submitted in late 2024, dismissed as generic paperwork by Brussels regulators, triggered the largest Digital Services Act penalty ever imposed on an online marketplace. Temu did not exist in Europe 3 years before that fine landed. The platform, owned by Chinese commerce giant PDD Holdings, launched in the United States in September 2022. By April 2023, it had arrived in France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and the Netherlands. Within 18 months of that European launch, Temu reported more than 92 million monthly active users across the European Union. By mid-2025, that number had climbed past 130 million. The growth was not accidental. Temu spent $3 billion on marketing in 2023 alone, $2 billion of that on social media advertising. The platform partnered with more than 10,000 influencers across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, paying them to film haul videos and unboxings of ultra-cheap products shipped directly from Chinese factories. The app itself was designed to feel like a game. Spin the wheel, bonuses, daily login rewards, referral incentives, flash sales that created urgency. Every design choice served one purpose: get users to open the app again and buy something else for almost nothing. But the products inside that addictive interface were not always what they appeared to be. Consumer groups across Europe had been raising alarms since early 2024. The European Consumer Organization, known as BEUC, coordinated testing in France, Denmark, and Germany. Out of 81 products purchased from Temu across categories including children's toys, jewelry, and electronics, 53 were found to contain dangerous substances or materials. That is a failure rate above 65%. Baby toys contained phthalates at up to 240 times the legal safety limit. Chargers posed risks of fire, electric shock, and burns. Children's clothing tested positive for lead at 622 times the permitted concentration. These were not obscure industrial goods. These were items marketed to families, bought by parents who assumed that anything sold within the European single market had passed basic safety checks. In France alone, the National Consumer Fraud Authority found that 75% of products tested on platforms like Temu were non-compliant, and 46% were classified outright as dangerous. Hair dryers that could catch fire, plug adapters with no earthing protection, dummy chains long enough to strangle an infant. But Temu operated under a different logic entirely. The platform connected consumers directly to Chinese factories, eliminating every intermediary in the supply chain. That model delivered unbeatable prices. It also meant that traditional safety gatekeepers, the importers, the distributors, the national retailers who historically bore responsibility for product compliance, simply did not exist. The marketplace itself was the only checkpoint between a factory floor in Guangdong and a child's bedroom in Berlin. The European Commission understood this. On the 31st of May 2024, Brussels formally designated Temu as a very large online platform under the Digital Services Act. That designation carried weight. Any platform with more than 45 million monthly EU users must conduct annual risk assessments identifying systemic dangers, then implement tailored measures to address them. The DSA was not asking platforms to catch every single illegal listing. It was demanding that they take the structural risk of illegal content seriously and prove they had built systems to manage it. Temu had 4 months from designation to comply. The clock started ticking. By the end of September 2024, the company submitted its risk assessment report to the Commission. But what Brussels received was not what Brussels expected. The Commission found that Temu's assessment relied on general information about risks facing the e-commerce sector as a whole. It cited industry-wide data rather than evidence specific to Temu's own platform. It did not reference public testing reports that had already documented dangerous products on the marketplace. It did not examine how Temu's own recommender algorithms could amplify the reach of illegal listings. It did not assess how the platform's influencer promotion programs, the same programs that had fueled its explosive growth, were also accelerating the spread of non-compliant goods to millions of users. The Commission's response was methodical. On the 28th of June 2024, even before the risk assessment deadline, Brussels had sent a formal request for information demanding details on Temu's measures against illegal products. A second request followed on the 11th of October, focusing on trader reappearance, consumer protection, recommender systems, and personal data risks. On the 31st of October 2024, the Commission opened formal proceedings. Then Brussels did something that turned the abstract into the concrete. The Commission conducted its own mystery shopping exercise, purchasing products directly from Temu and sending them to testing laboratories. The results confirmed the consumer group's warnings at an institutional level. A very high percentage of selected chargers failed basic electrical safety tests. A high percentage of tested baby toys posed safety risks rated medium to high severity, containing chemicals exceeding legal limits or presenting suffocation hazards from small detachable parts. On the 28th of July 2025, the Commission issued preliminary findings. Henna Virkkunen, the Executive Vice President for Tech Sovereignty, Security and Democracy, stated it plainly. We shop online because we trust that products sold in our single market are safe and comply with our rules. In our preliminary view, Temu is far from assessing risks for its users at the standards required by the Digital Services Act. Consumers' safety online is not negotiable in the EU. Temu was given the opportunity to respond. 10 months later, on the 28th of May 2026, the Commission delivered its final verdict: €200 million. If you find these investigations as revealing as I do, consider subscribing. I publish a new case every week. The fine represented the Commission's judgment that Temu's failure was not a minor oversight. A senior Commission official described the risk assessment obligations as a cornerstone of the DSA enforcement framework, calling Temu's infringement particularly serious. The platform had not merely missed a deadline or filed incomplete paperwork. It had submitted a document that fundamentally failed to engage with the specific, documented, quantifiable risks that its own platform design was creating for 130 million European users. Temu's response was immediate and predictable. A spokesperson stated that the company disagrees with the European Commission's decision and considers the fine disproportionate. The statement added that the decision relates to the Commission's first DSA evaluation of Temu in 2024 and does not reflect the current state of our systems. The company pointed to a claimed $100 million investment in compliance and product safety during 2025, with plans to double that spending in 2026. Brussels was unmoved. But the Commission was not finished. Under Article 75 of the DSA, Temu must submit a detailed action plan by the 28th of August 2026, outlining precisely how it will bring its risk assessment and mitigation systems into compliance. The European Board for Digital Services will review that plan and issue an opinion within 1 month. If the changes are deemed insufficient, further fines could follow. The DSA permits penalties of up to 6% of a platform's total worldwide annual turnover for continued non-compliance. For PDD Holdings, with $54 billion in global revenue in 2024, that ceiling is measured in billions, not millions. Temu is not alone under this scrutiny. Shein faces formal DSA proceedings for similar failures around illegal products. AliExpress has received interim findings. X, formerly Twitter, was fined €120 million under the DSA for transparency and advertising failures. Meta faces potential penalties for inadequate protections for minors. The Commission is systematically working through the list of designated very large online platforms, applying the same standard to each. If you operate at continental scale, you must demonstrate that you understand and manage the risks your platform creates. The Temu case establishes a specific precedent. Risk assessments cannot be generic documents recycled from industry templates. They must reflect the platform's actual architecture, its algorithms, its seller base, its marketing channels, and the concrete evidence of harm that regulators and consumer groups have already documented. The era of treating compliance as paperwork is over. Brussels is now testing the products itself. As of June 2026, Temu has not filed an appeal, though the company has stated it is considering all available options. The 3-month payment window is running. The action plan deadline is approaching, and the Commission has made clear that this decision is the beginning of ongoing monitoring, not the end of enforcement. The next case I am covering involves a company that spent 6 years rigging the interest rate that determined what every mortgage holder in Europe paid each month. The fine was €1.49 billion, and it started with a phone call that nobody was supposed to